I'm Maldonado, the lead beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, here with Lyle Alenstein after Penn State suffered a 22-21 collapse against Northwestern. Me and Lyle here just wrapped up media with James Franklin, where he announced that Drew Allar is out for the season. Lyle, there's no easy way to just shape this and cut it out. What does this mean for Penn State, and how do they have to move going forward?
Yeah, this is a 3-year starter, 2-year captain, really the guy who's been the face of the success and the face of the negativity for this team over the past couple of years. You got to feel for Allar, put aside his performance on the field. This has been a season straight sent from hell, to be honest with you. The game-sealing interceptions, the criticism he gets from the media, the fans, and the game on the line, another opportunity for kind of rewrite that narrative, lead a game-winning drive, which he has been able to do in his Penn State career, and then suffers an injury, 1-yard run on 3rd and 4, got banged up, helmet immediately came off. We're unaware of what that injury is currently at the moment, but walked off the field, helmet off, had some assistance getting off there, was carted off with tears in his eyes. James Franklin, was asked about it post-game, what's the status on Drew, looked outside towards the exit by the media room, waited for confirmation and said he was out for the year. James Franklin never does that. He never reveals if someone's out for the year unless he's got confirmation from the kid or the family. And my time on the beat, it hasn't really happened. So, moving forward, you saw Ethan Grunkemeyer, who 2-yard run fell short. Obviously, Penn State did not get the ball back. Ended up being the difference maker. There's another four-star product out of Ohio. Moving forward, this is a team that he's going to have to take the lead reins on in a season that obviously we'll touch on later on has spiraled downwards.
I mean, for sure, we heard about it from Devontae Ross and kind of his just expectations about his initial reactions to Drew Allar getting injured. The entire locker room is somebody, they're always going to rally behind Drew Allar. They feel for him. He's been, regardless of the personal opinions about Drew Allar and his play, he's consistently been a player that other people can look up to, be a consistent leader within the locker room. And now that it's the next man up with Grunkemeyer, we heard from Devontae Ross, he thinks he's capable. He came into the game, even though it was late in the fourth quarter in a high-pressure situation. He made the play call with confidence. He executed as best as he possibly could. And I think this is somebody who has the potential to kind of turn things around. Obviously not to the extent as a playmaker as Drew Allar is, but only time is going to be able to tell what's going on with Penn State. Obviously 3 consecutive losses, where this has them stand. We just have to talk about real quick what led to this collapse for Penn State. And this is an accumulation of everything. Offense, once again, we saw them hammer it down with Kaytron Allen in the very beginning of the game. Within the first 2 drives, he already had 9 carries, more than he finished with against UCLA. We saw them find success in the run game. They looked good when they had success in the run game. And in the latter half of that game, completely fizzled out. Once again, a poor game from Nick Singleton, only 20 yards, 2.9 yards a carry, I believe. We got to see him get a touchdown, his first touchdown since, I believe, week 3 against Villanova. But once again, the running game is not as prominent. Passing game, no other Penn State receiver aside from Devontae Ross finished over 10 receiving yards. It was a one-man show out there today. It was only one target that was reliable. And whether that was a Drew Allar problem, a play-calling problem, the question is moving forward, how can they diversify this offense? How can they continue to pass out and spread the ball? And then from a defensive perspective, once again, we saw they struggled to stop the run when it mattered. Overall, the counting stats are very good for Penn State against the run. We saw Preston be able to deliver a lot of passes against this Penn State secondary. Obviously, the collapse from A.J. Harris on that one drive or that one play that led to the touchdown. A lot went wrong, a lot of pivotal mistakes that Penn State doesn't usually make. What is your opinion about the mistakes that they made and your confidence about them moving forward now that they're 3-3 on the season, Lyle?
I mean, you hit on offensive mistakes, you hit on defensive mistakes. There was a few special teams mistakes today, a fumble that's from Devontae Ross that led to a Northwestern score, and Tyler Holsworth, who I don't think has touched the ball since 2023, somewhere down in that depth chart of running backs. And he didn't look like on that kick return he decided if he wanted to take the ball or not. Ended up getting balled up at the 9-yard line. They ended up scoring, but I think just you hit the nail on the hammer there. It's just so many mistakes that this team has made in so many different facets, in so many inconsistent ways throughout this entire season. Offense, you talk about Drew Allar's play, the inconsistency established the run game. Wide receivers not getting separation. The offensive line, supposed to be a favorite entering the season for the Joe Moore Award. They have not looked the part. Anthony Donko has also been banged up this year. You've seen inconsistent rotations from him at right guard and right tackle over the past 2 games. Only played a few drives last week against UCLA. Cooper Cousins was out today. He had a brace with his left leg. On his left leg. And this is a team that they felt they had 7 starters. That rotation all of a sudden just went to 5 today. And they've been struggling defensively. This defensive line has struggled to generate pressure. You saw the lapses in how thin this linebacker room is without Tony Rojas. Dom DeLuca cannot play the Tony Rojas role. Dom DeLuca was good as the 3rd linebacker. I'm not going to run away from that, but he is not Tony Rojas. You see the lack of athleticism on the field. Secondary, they've been a bright spot for the most part. A.J. Harris got torched by Northwestern today. Northwestern wide receiver, excuse me. A.J. Harris is supposed to be the first Penn State cornerback to get drafted in the 1st round. that's not going to happen.
Didn't see that tonight.
And then he went out the last drive of the second half, didn't return to the game. Zion Tracy was banged up. You saw a ton of Kenny Woozley. You saw all three safeties today. Antoine Belgrave, all three safeties behind Zakee Wheatley, Antoine Belgrave Shorter, King Mack, Dejan Lane. They all played. There's just so many things you can point to. James Franklin is backing this person out. Jim Knowles has not been the hire everyone is expected. Andy Koolnicki's play calling is bad. Just the positive on this team is really, dare I say it, Justin Lustig and Dave Nwosu and Ryan Barker. That's really what it is.
We can't forget him.
Yeah, Kitchener, but they got to get him the ball, which they did. And then they benched him for the whole drive. Singleton ended up scoring, but it's just like, come on, what is this play calling? James Franklin was asked if the play calling has been any different today, with him taking more of a lead. It deflected, said it's been the same in 12 years. I don't know. This team is just in a spot nobody thought would be entering the season, and it kind of showed today as a culmination of that.
You touched on the defensive line. We saw Denai Dennis Sutton come out and say, is there any sort of like kind of comfortability level with the offense or with the defensive line and learning this scheme? Mentioned how a couple of secondary players and other players in the defense kind of went to Knowles asking how to execute this defense at the highest level possible. And he really had nothing to say about the question. He feels, I guess, to right now that obviously there's work to be done, but there's so many things going on behind the scenes that we can't possibly know. So moving forward, we have to see a difference from Penn State. And that leads into the final question, Lyle. With 3 consecutive losses, 2 of them against unranked teams, obviously the first loss being against Oregon, what is James Franklin's future with Penn State? I mean, I can go first for quick. Obviously, there's not too many better options for coaches available. But at this point, guys that we might not think be better options might actually end up being better options. We could always rely on Penn State to be able to, get the wins against the teams that they're supposed to win against. We knew they struggled in the big moment. They struggled against elite competition. We know James Franklin's record against the top 10 teams, 4-21 against AP top 10 teams, 1-18 against Big Ten top 10 teams. We know he struggles in that moment. But when it comes to now not even being able to beat Big Ten competition and, struggling against not being able to look the part against even, we had these questions earlier in the season with their offense and not being able to execute at the highest level against FCS and lower Division I schools. What is the problem, and is James Franklin the solution?
James Franklin should have been gone last week. I talked about it. Now after this week, I don't know what to tell you. Talk about the buyout all you want, and it is a lot of money, and it's honestly, I think, the reason why. I mean, we'll find out in the next 48 hours if he's still here. But the buyout would be the only thing preventing that. If I'm James Franklin, I've been here for 12 years, right? I built this program back up to where it was, just like he did at Vanderbilt. But I just think it's best for him to move on. I'm not going to doubt his credibility as a head coach. He's done some good things over his tenure, but it's just time for a change of scenery. And I think Penn State should know that as well. I think James Franklin should know that. And like you just talked about it, there might not be any better options, but this team wasn't going to be good for the next 2 years, regardless of what this team looks like right now. So it's just, you can't rebuild without, just trying to mix up whatever it is. So that's where they're at right now. I think Franklin should be gone. They're going to be trying to go 1-0 for the rest of the way out. Play in a bowl game. 1-0 has turned into 0-3 the last 3 weeks, so that's where they're at right now. Just moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see no Drew Allar, no Tony Rojas. The morale is down right now. They're going to keep playing. For all these seniors that wanted to come back with national championship expectations, they're so far from it, and honestly, they're hurting their draft stock right now. So that's what they got to play for moving forward, get some wins, maybe a bowl game, salvage something.
Now, we've seen players draft stock. We've seen players not even at Penn State yet decommit already just in a short amount of time. The future of this program is shaky, and that's really the only thing that we can say. Obviously, coming up in this next week, they're going to be going again. They're going to Iowa to face a very, very solid Iowa team at 7 p.m. I think that electrifying environment is going to get to them. I think the morale is already down. What they're going to be able to do against the Iowa team, I have no idea. But you will be able to catch Lyle at the Iowa game next weekend. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.